Hello everyone, Alex here. I'm out in the woods foraging for chestnuts today with my partner Davey. We're going to show you how we forage for chestnuts, then what we do with the chestnuts when we get them back home. This one here. Too small. Show me how you open the chestnuts.
Okay, you want to look for chestnuts generally have two sides, well the husks have two sides. You've got the one with the stalk, which is where it's fallen from the tree, and then on the other side is where you've got a seam, and this is generally the best side to open it. So if you've got one like this where it's already slightly open, it makes it easier. Put your wellies either side of the seam and then just push and spread, and then it'll just open up like that. And a nice goodies will come out. Sometimes they can be a lot harder to open. It will depend on how ripe they are. So the really ripe ones will already be opening, but ones like this, doesn't say they might not, they still might be good once you've opened them, but you never know. So I've found where the stalk is on this side, where the mud is. Just going to push and spread open. Yeah, so they're opening really easily at the moment. And when you're looking for good chestnuts, don't go by the size of the husk. I have found one or two big chestnuts in a very small shell, and likewise in massive shells you can find lots of chestnuts, but they're about this size and they're just all squished together.
Here's a nice one. Oh yeah. Too small. They're all very ripe though. There's no white on there. But those aren't ripe.
I mean, these are big. These are the really nice big ones that we can find.
But they're unripe at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, but for size.
These are some ripe ones. You can see the definition of the line around the top here. And it's this golden brown colour all the way over. You can also find unripe ones. These ones have a white line across the middle, and they ripen usually this way, from the bottom point here up to the top. And some of them, like these ones, you can put them on the windowsill at home and ripen them up. If you pick them up when they're like this and they're not ripe yet at all, these are a really good size, but they're only just starting to ripen here at the bottom. And you may find that these ones, when you put them out on the windowsill to ripen, they go soft before they're ready. You just have to take them home and try it. If they're too soft, they won't roast very well, so it's not really worth keeping them. That's a nice one there. That one's too small. Sometimes you find ones that have fallen out too, like this one.
I find a lot of big ones that have just fallen out.
We've come back again today to look for more chestnuts. It's a week since our last visit, and hopefully more will be down now.
Freshly opened.
Here they've just fallen out. They're ready. You just find them on the ground.
Compared with last week, we've come away with much heavier bags. We've got about a quarter of a bag there, third of a bag each. But we've picked up a lot of ones that I wouldn't usually pick up because I know I can get bigger. But whenever you come out, we don't know when the big ones are going to start coming down in bulk. So at this point, it's always worth picking up more than you think you're going to want. And then when you get home, you can start to organise them into sizes and go, that one, yeah, that's doable, we can cut that. But remember that when you start cutting these all up and getting them prepared for deshelling, you're going to have to spend the time deshelling all of them. And at some point, you're just going to think, not worth it, too small. So when you get home, you can then organise them into the biggest ones that are good for roasting, the medium ones which are going to be good for roasting, and then any ones that are just too small, just put them in the food bin, put them in your compost bin, just recycle them, chuck them back out into nature.
You'll regret it if you cook too many and then you've got loads of small ones, because deshelling them can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
If you've got so many small ones and you're not going to use them all. Yeah, so it's worth picking them up outside. It's worth picking them up because then you can get back and work out which ones are the smallest and then get rid of them then. But you don't want to cook up all of them.
And if you're like us, the joy is in the finding and the picking up of them. There's such a joy to be had when you get a really nice chestnut and think, oh, I wonder what's in there. And you open it up and it's a really nice big one. It's just pleasing.
Alright, back home in my kitchen, just after the second trip out. First, time to weigh the haul. How many did we get on this trip to the woods? You see the colander here is looking really full. And look at that, we're well over 2 kilos worth of chestnuts. These are some that we bought from the shops. They've come from Spain. And I just wanted to compare the size between the English chestnuts from our local woods and the expensive Spanish chestnuts that you can buy in the shops. Alright, so the Spanish chestnuts are a little bigger, but not by much for the most part. They're also older too. I mean, you can see by the richness of the colour. Those have been off the tree for a while. Those cost us $5.99 per kilo. So on our foray to the woods, we've saved ourselves about £12. And we get fresher local chestnuts too.
So it's big.
Now the next thing we're going to do is sort them out, as we mentioned in the woods. We want to make sure that we've got all of the smallest ones separated from the largest, and then we can decide which ones of these we actually want to roast. Quite a lot of small ones, but we picked up many medium and large ones too. And we have our Spanish chestnuts to try. First, giving them a rinse, because some of them are found directly on the ground. We want any mud to be removed. Now we have our baking tray ready, and we're going to cut deep into the chestnuts in a cross, on the bottom, so on the pointed edge. We cut deep into the chestnut, at an angle, to make a deep cross. And then we're going to put these into the oven at 190 degrees or higher for at least half an hour. Once they come out of the oven, we know they're ready because they have split just along the line of the cross. Put them into a bowl and let them cool down for a little while because they're going to be a bit too hot to handle. Once we've cooled them down, it's now a matter of peeling off the skins. Sometimes the inner skin will come away quite easily, and other times you may find that it sticks a bit to the chestnut. And we often spend the time to flake off all of this sticky inner layer. And it is easier sometimes than others, and on some occasions we might decide to just leave it. It's a slow and laborious process going through all of the chestnuts, so we tend to do it in front of the television on an autumn evening. There's lots of methods to be found online for trying to remove this inner skin. Some people prefer to boil their chestnuts rather than roast them. Other people advise partially boiling the chestnuts first and then putting them in the oven. Though some people say that there's a fine line between the chestnuts receiving enough heat to slacken that inner skin and then cooling down and the skin drinking back down onto the chestnut. It's heat that is the key here. I'd really love to hear your techniques and any links to any articles that you've found about how best to peel the inner skin of chestnuts. I'll leave some in the description so you can read up a little bit about it. We often don't worry too much. The inner skin is edible, but it is a little bitter. But when it's cooked into something like a nut roast, you're not going to notice it. Most of the time we will take the time to peel off that inner skin, as long as there's something really good on the telly while we're doing it. But I'm happy to report that by the end of our chestnut hunting a few weeks later, we've got at least 4 bags of chestnuts roasted and ready to go in the freezer. We can use them in nut roasts, in soups, and to liven up fruit and vegetables. They're a wonderful seasonal addition to autumn and Christmas dinners. Really hope you enjoyed this foraging video. Do give me a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.